My advice to creators that are in this space is first to just proceed with your projects, but proceed with some caution, right? First, I would say be prepared to market your not safe for work content on the merits of safe for work quality, right? And so, the Witches of Oz, that's Kat Calamia and Phil Falco's, even if they removed all traces of sexual content and nudity content from this book, this is a book that still would do quite well on Kickstarter. Terry Moore cover, popular IP, leading into LGBTQ themes and beautiful poppy art, like edgy hook. That's going to do well even without that content. That, I think, the NSFW spicy mature themes content is a force multiplier in a lot of ways. It gets you not just the people that are interested in that IP or queer comics or the creators themselves, but then it also does get those speculators out there that, and you see them at every comic convention, who are hunting for the sexiest covers out there and seem to have an insatiable appetite for this stuff. I do wonder, when I look at like how much of our national debt is people buying 20 to 30 spicy covers for every one of these projects that drops on Kickstarter. I bet you it's not zero, right? But yeah, that would be one thing that I would think about is be able to market your stuff based on its appeal, even above and beyond that NSFW content. Another example of that would be, this Nippy project that Pat Shannon Cheeky Comics just did, right? I mean, it's sexy frozen is essentially the high concept, and Pat has a track record of being able to do this kinds of stuff. It is well and aligned with what Pat has done, doing twists with all his work for Zenoscope, the Grimm fairy tale stuff. Like, people do not want to buy something completely new. They want the same, but a little different. This is the same, but a little different, brought to you by a creator with a track record of doing things like this and doing it well. And then the third thing, a piece of advice for creators, is be prepared to have some options if in case there is a censor bar ban coming down the pipe. All right. And so, I noticed on Nippy, when Pat was forced to remove pages from his preview, I'm wondering if part of and you can see, like, 1, 2, 3, I think he had 3-page preview. In terms of Kickstarter averages for high performing campaigns, a 3-page preview, not very much. It's a little bit on the low side. Now, for a creator that's as established as Pat, he'd probably get away with having no preview of this book. People, they trust him. They trust him for this kind of content. But for the new creators out there that are maybe first jumping into this space, I would make sure that you have at least 5 consecutive pages that could potentially go up on your Kickstarter page, even without censor bars, to show that this book could play in that world. This might require you to do what James Masha, Dren Productions, and I know for his book, his Zombie Cheerleaders from Outer Space book, he actually has sort of R-rated versions and NC-17 rated versions of his books, where actually there's digital art on the books inside. He makes it, has the artist have a couple of different versions, so there's like really spicy hard graphic content in one version of the interior book, but then he also has another option that is a little bit less graphic. And when you're working with digital artists, that usually isn't all that tough to make. So, potentially having that ability to make those changes and to be able to show a project that may have that content in it, but you're not showing it and not leaning so heavily on big censor, or in some cases, tiny censor bars, and leaning on the quality of the product itself. All right. So that's what I think. That's my advice for creators. Again, I don't have any special insight. I would love it if Kickstarter would be able to come out and make some statements on this. I understand why it is probably in their best interest to, in some cases, not say anything and sort of let the current status quo go because it's working. Kickstarter had a massive jump in terms of total funding raised last year. We know NSFW projects are a big part of that, not the only part of it. In fact, the biggest Kickstarters on the Kickstarter platform are not in this category, like the absolute biggest ones, the top 3, the top 5, etc. So again, NSFW is not a prerequisite for success on the platform, but as we've seen, it is an easier entry point for a lot of creators. All right.